Hello and welcome to User Spotlights. I'm Laura with ClickFunnels, and today I'm joined by Christopher Cool. Christopher is Calgary's funniest and most kid-friendly magician. He's a small, local, service-based business that specializes in helping parents make their children's birthday parties stress-free, super fun, and unforgettable. He has won the Parents' Choice Award for the Best Party Entertainment 2023, his fourth win in a row for his high-energy comedy birthday party magic shows. And I'm so excited that he might even do a trick for us today. Welcome, Christopher. Thanks for being my guest.
Hey, thanks for Laura for having me. I'm excited to be on this YouTube video. It's gonna be fun.
Yes, I'm excited. You are the first person I've spoken with on these interviews that is a service-based business that serves locally. So I have lots of questions for you, and I can't wait to get started. So before we begin with those questions, can you tell me a little bit about your background and how you got started as a magician?
Sure. Well, if you ask any magician how they got started, it's typically the same story. I was 5 years old, and in kindergarten, I saw my first magician, which was actually Ronald McDonald. So back in the day, I think they kind of discontinued the program, but Ronald McDonald would actually come into the schools. And now everything's all healthy and it's pretty hard. So what they did is, if you ended up buying all the Happy Meals for the school, then you would get this free magic show, and Ronald would come in there and he would do this I love to read magic show. So I remember that, and I was hooked. I thought it was the coolest thing. And so I asked my teacher, how can I learn magic? And they had, directed me to the school library. And, at that time I didn't really read, but we were looking at pictures and things like that. And then there was like a book order, scholastic book order. And I begged my mom and dad to get me this book. And I always make fun of it because the very first magic trick that I ever learned was cutting somebody in half. And what it was actually a little paper doll cutout, and you'd put the paper doll cutout inside this envelope and cut it with scissors. And then, now obviously I've learned the real secret, and I've cut my sisters in half and things like that. But that's how it all got started when I was 5. And then my parents thought it was a phase that I was going to grow out of. And of course, I never did. And I have two sisters. They've moved on, and they're now nurses in Winnipeg. And so I'm the odd one. There's absolutely no magic or any kind of entertainment or even a business background in my life. And it was just seeing that first magician. So carry on to when I was about 15, 16 years old. I started to, and all through school, I was really cool because my teachers would encourage me to do either, magic, the history of magic, or do presentations on magic, things like that, science magic in grade 4. So I was pretty lucky with that. And then when I was about 15, 16 years old, I started to do, my first magic shows, and it was birthday parties. And now that's what I actually do for a living. I perform kids' birthday magic shows. But when I was 15, 16 years old, I didn't quite know how to run a business. And so I got really busy really fast because I was born and raised in Winnipeg, which is, if you know Winnipeg, it's a pretty small little city. And I don't know exactly how many, but it's small. So my business blew up, and I had no idea how to run a business. And very quickly I was overwhelmed. Imagine now it's like 20, 21 years old. And I just had so many bookings. And I remember this was, 20 years ago. I missed my first magic show. It was at a daycare, and I was devastated that I did that. And it was just because I simply didn't have these processes in place. I didn't know how to run a business. So I stopped to reevaluate what I was doing wrong, and how I could not feel overwhelmed. And then I fell in love with street performing. So what I found with street performing was that I didn't have to do any of the business side of things. I could literally just go show up in the middle of nowhere. Most times that's what I did, middle of nowhere. And I would just gather a crowd, make a lot of noise, get people to come over there. And then I used to do the straitjacket escape. So I would get wrapped up in 100 feet of chain. And we always make fun of that. It's like the car accident street show, because people can't, they have to stop to see
Right.
what's this guy doing? Is he going to get out? And so I did that for quite a while, and I was working for tips. So street performer, busker at the end of the show, and doing that for I think about 5 or 6 years. It got a little tough on me because I'd realized, people would watch the shows and they'd stay there for 45 minutes to an hour, and I'd have, the front row would tip me, and then I'd have 50 to 200 people would just walk away after they watched the show, and it was really tough. And so I said, you know what, I'm going to give this business thing again a go and try it. And that's when I started to really educate myself. And I actually fell into the trap. It's a good thing, though, of the long form sales letter. And
Yeah.
it was a guy named Dave D, and he did a lead generation. I remember this. It was a lead generation ad in the local Magic magazine, or it was an international Magic magazine, and you had to call in to get the free report. And then I remember, I'm pretty positive it was yellow paper. And turns out that Dave D actually worked for Dan Kennedy. And so it all kind of comes full force. And we all know that Russell's acquired the magnetic marketing. And that's when I learned the real, importance of actually doing that direct sales marketing. And then somewhere along the lines, only a couple of years ago is when I was introduced to ClickFunnels. And I knew you were going to ask me this question, Laura, and I couldn't figure out where it was from. But it was in 2021, the beginning. I checked. That's when I signed up for ClickFunnels, and I've been a member and a funnel hacker ever since.
Amazing. So what was it like balancing your craft and the thing that you love to do, especially with like street performing, right? Because you're going out there, you're just doing your thing and you're loving it. Um, at what point were you like, I need to turn this into something that's a little bit more sustainable or grow my business or actually generate leads? Like what was the aha moment there?
I think it was working so hard. So a lot of people might not know about this about street performers, but with street performers, many times you actually have to pay for permits. You've got to pay to play. And so when you see some of these street performers out there, I mean, I work to hone on my routine where people might only see me perform on the street and they're like, oh, it's a street performer. But I actually worked really, really hard to learn all the jokes and the comedy, and to be able to grab a crowd. And I'll tell you, and it's one of the hardest things to do, is to be able to just stop people when they weren't expecting to stop, and
Yeah.
to watch a magic trick, right? And then to hold their attention for 40 to 60 minutes. It's wild. And so I think the aha moment for me was when, just doing them over and over again, where I'd see, 10, 20, 50 people maybe would, put some money in the hat at the beginning, but then I'd see all the rest of those people would walk away and get this free show. And I'm like, hmm, this doesn't feel good. And then I'd see some of those same patrons, would go into the restaurants and they'd be tipping their servers. And now
Yeah.
I don't want to get into the tipping thing, but I am from Canada, so it's a little bit different
Yeah.
over here with tipping for sure. You know what I'm talking about. So it was just hard. It was hard. And so I said, you know what? I got to stop. I got to do this. And I had a lot of fun, and it was just a lot of work. But I'm like, you know what? Let's go figure out what I was doing wrong and take some accountability on that and turn this into something real, because I know that this is a service that people could use, and that's what I'm doing now. So, and I'm so grateful for everything. I think even like all the little things I've learned along the way and all the mistakes that I made along the way have really helped me with my business and as a person as well.
Yeah. And with practicing, that's so cool. It's like you were a marketing disruptor in real time, like being an actual street performer. It's kind of like what a lot of marketers do with webinars, where they are practicing and they're going live and they have people register, but you're going out there, you're just doing it in front of them. And then instead of, doing the live webinars, they decide to evergreen it. And you as a local person, you're having to figure out how to do things in a completely different way. So what what was it that made you think, I don't just want like a traditional website, I want to use funnels to grow my business locally? Like, what has that been like?
Right. Yeah. And to back up too, I never thought about that. Like street performing was literally a live webinar. We call it the hat pitch, and that's
Yeah.
where I would have to mention and all that. And man, I wished I knew the offer stack back in the day. I would have been giving away a whole bunch of stuff when you tipped me. But no, really, what's happened with the website now. And it's fantastic, and hopefully my competitors aren't watching this, but no, I mean, I wish everybody the best. But with the competitors' websites, parents who are my target audience, they're very busy people. I mean, I don't have kids, but I can't imagine having to do all the things that a mom or dad has to do, and then on top of that, trying to plan their child's birthday party. And so going onto websites, for my competitors, where there's just everything all over the place, or they've got to email for packages and prices, or worse yet, they've actually got to get on the phone to phone them, right? And these aren't high ticket items, right? Where most business stuff that we charge for the magic shows, you're going to be like 250 to $400, right? So that's kind of the sale price that we're pitching. And so once I decided to change it into a funnel, I actually get compliments from my customers telling me just how easy it is to book me. So my sales funnel is really easy. I'm using a long sales a form sales letter. I'm actually upgrading it right now. So you're in my new studio. I am not wearing my costume, by the way, Laura. I know you creeped my website. Typically, bright blue jacket, red shirt, yellow tie. I wanted to tone it down for this interview. Uh, but I'm actually working on my sales video right now. So I'm gonna put the video sales letter on top of that. And that's it. And I actually put all of the packages and prices right on the website. And then it leads into the actual calendar request. So parents can see the real time availability and then they book the show. So start to finish, a mom can be dropping off their child, at school or somewhere, or they're just sitting in the parking lot waiting for their child, and they can literally book a magic show. And I could never have done that if I had just had a regular sales page. It really tightens and makes that whole process so much faster. I convert more. I've tested it. When I had those ones before, I'd have so many phone calls that I'd have to actually, in the middle of my day or in between shows, I'd have to call those people back, and I found myself having that same conversation over and over again. And I have this conversation with other magicians, and they're like, "Oh, we can't. We have to talk to our customers on the phone," and it's just not true.
Yeah.
You just repeat yourself over and over again, or that email that you send over. They're like, "Oh, we need to customize our emails." No, you're just copying and pasting that same email and sending it to different people. So I think you can automate that process, and it works for you and for your customers.
Yeah, which has to be inspiring for people who are like you and they are the service. They are a local business and they know there is a way to still work smarter, not harder, where you're doing all of the things, you are the performer, but you can still systematize things to make everything work for you, which is really cool. So let's go into a little bit about like traffic and how you market yourself. Your scenario is a little bit different where you're not your target market, they're not the kids that are online, it's their parents. Like, how did you determine the best way to market to the parents? And with your business, how did you determine like the age group you wanted to go after?
Well, hey, that's a super question. I'm actually glad you asked that. One of the things for me, I feel, and it's my wife. She balances me a lot because we had this conversation before we hopped on here. She's kind of like the anti-marketer, so she kind of tones all my marketing out. I'll go in and I'll write the hardcore letter, and then in all those really hardcore headlines, and then she'll go and tone it down for me. And so what we've realized together, because we really are a team, is that I don't want to market to the kids, and I can't do that. I can't. It's I feel like if and even the packages. So I'll give you this as an example. Um, I make all of my programs. I only have one package, and then there's upsells that we can add on later on. But when I come to your house, I set up a big backdrop and speaker and music, and it's a big performance. And I've seen other people, well, they'll do it. And that's one version, but then there's the cheaper version. Kids don't understand that.
Right.
And at one time, I'd actually make the birthday child float in the air, and that was an add-on package. And then I seemed to realize that, the parents that didn't book me to make their child float in the air, and that child had seen me at another birthday party, they couldn't understand, well, why
Yeah.
didn't Christopher Cool make me float? So I started to really think about that very carefully, and I never market to the kids, but I do. I do it in a really tongue-in-cheek way. So at the end of the show, I give the birthday child a magic wand. It's a very special, packaged magic wand, Christopher Cool official magic wand. And I make the little joke tongue in cheek with all the parents watching. I said, "Hey, the only way you can get this is by having Christopher Cool to come to your birthday party. Hands up, who wants Christopher Cool to come to your birthday?" And then I look at the parents, I go, "Shameless, I know." And so it's funny, and then they get that, right? And then I give all the kids a ton of little fun little giveaways that all have my website. So now, one of the new OTO offers that I'm doing is the goodie bags. I've upgraded my goodie bags, and I'm making that as a new funnel for the kids. So they'll get a ton of free value, but then the parents can see them having fun, and then there's opt-ins for the parents. So that's the one thing. And then back to your question was originally, how do I my traffic? Where's my traffic coming from? Right.
Yeah.
So for the local service business, for me, where I've got the most amount of traffic is Google reviews. It's that Google listing. Um, and when I switched over, when I did the upgrade to CF 2.0, I did see a little bit of a drop in the traffic because obviously I switched the domain names. And so that was a little tough. But what saved me was being able to go in really quickly and change the URL on my Google listing. And it was just a lifesaver because now, and I think I'm almost 300 Google reviews for a local business, all 5 stars, which is super awesome. And that is the best organic. It shows up right there as soon as they're searching for a magician for a birthday party and things like that. They're going to see my listing. They're going to see the reviews right away, and then they click it, and then they're into my funnel. Um, I'm very lucky because now in Calgary, it's definitely a lot more people than Winnipeg, and there's a lot more competitors. But I'm very lucky. I do almost 200 kids' birthday parties a year, so it's 5, 6 every weekend, and then on top of that, I do perform at preschools and daycares and elementary schools during the weekdays. So a lot of mine is word of mouth. So I really work really hard for the service that I'm providing to really be exceptional to get that word of mouth stuff, but really it's to go above and beyond for my customers locally so that they'll go ahead and leave that Google review. And I mean, it's high. It's way higher than anything up there. And I think that is one of those things that just makes it a little bit easier. And I'm also one of the most expensive. So when we talk about pre-frame bridges, which is actually, I'm helping one of my friends with him because he's kind of reset his business from the pandemic. And what's happened with him is we found that he needs a pre-frame bridge because he's running a lot of cold traffic from Google, and he's one of the most expensive in his area. But what's happened for a lot of entertainers like myself, and maybe even you as other small business owners that are watching this, we're kind of restarting that business. So what we had before, where all the kids knew who I was, now it's really interesting. The kids don't know who I am. And so to go in and be that most expensive entertainer without having that pre-frame and explaining why and getting them adjusted first and showing them all that credibility, I think that's what he's missing. And because I've won some of these awards, that's my pre-frame. So we're working on that with him right now.
Super cool. I imagine that people watching this interview are thinking like, wow, I didn't even realize that I could start a business because I love to perform. Like maybe it's a musician or somebody who likes to sing, and they didn't ever think about this as being an opportunity to grow a business locally. So what would be your advice to somebody who maybe is a musician and is like, wait, I can start a business by being a performer and doing that locally? Like, what's something that you would tell them in terms of creating a business like this online so that you can perform locally?
All right. I'm going to send my thoughts to you, Laura. Can you read my mind? It's
I
the
wish I
.com secret books, right? Absolutely. No, I mean, whether you use ClickFunnels or not, and I don't want this, we're not trying to make this a sales pitch, but really it's those books. When you read those, the .com secrets book, the expert secrets books, those get you thinking and get those hamster wheels thinking like, hey, wait a second, there's more things. So one of the things I'm doing now is because when I was invited to be on this interview here, I watched all the other interviews and I'm like, I don't have a 2 Comma Club award, and like why do you want to? Why does this work? And I really think it's because it's for everybody. You don't have to strive to make $1 million, but you know what? I'm now motivated to do that, and it's not for the money, but it's for all of the cool services and the extra things that I can do for my customers and for all the little fans like the little kids. So if you're some kind of an entertainer, there is absolutely a way to build it into a real business and monetize it, whether it be one of the things that I'm doing now. It's the new Trick of the Month Club, because now we're learning about the linchpin, which is amazing. And now I'm like, okay, you know what? What if I wasn't performing all of the time, but I still had income coming in? And that's going to be by teaching children magic and having this like a box subscription where they get a magic trick every single month that they get to have fun with. So read those books and become a part of the ClickFunnels community, because I mean, you guys know there's so many different funnel builders now, right? ClickFunnels has been copied and copied and copied, but what no one's ever been able to do, because it takes so much time, is to build that community. And it's the community, and speaking of communities, we talked about this before, one of my favorite communities on Facebook is the CF 2.0 Geek Out. Andrea and Laura, it's Andrea and Laura.
And
um,
Susan.
And Susan, yes, and Susan,
Yeah.
that's right. And they're amazing. There's just so many really cool people in there. And when you don't know how to do something with ClickFunnels, people are helping you out. I know I just was talking to people about, and I connected with other parents, which was nice, that weren't in my area to get their opinions, but just about my goodie bags and what's the proper upsells and things like that. So read the books, become a part of the community, and don't set yourself a limit, because as you keep growing and growing, things just keep opening up. But stay focused. I think that's one of the key things for me is I'm not a magician for every occasion. I'm also not a magician that travels all over the place. Every time I want to perform, this is like my traffic. I want to be performing in front of the right traffic every single time. So imagine this: instead of paying for ads and you're only selling a local business, imagine paying for ads in other countries where those customers would click because maybe they're excited, but then they get disappointed because they can't hire you. That's the same thing that I do with my business. Because it's local, I actually do something that most people don't do, and I turn away other bookings that are an hour and a half outside the city, because every single time I want to be performing in front of kids and parents that can actually come into my funnels and hire me, and then I can help them with their parties.
Yeah. Which is so cool that you found a way to still develop and come up with new ideas for your business. And you talked about the linchpin, and you are actually creating a continuity program, which is absolutely remarkable for somebody who performs live and as an entertainer locally. So I keep thinking of like so many questions and ideas and all these fun things that I want to chat about. But for somebody like you who loves to be in front of people, how have you set the limitation of like, at what point do I turn people away? How local do I want to be? And you're stacking your weekends. You clearly have multiple appointments in a single day. How did you decide that that's what you want to do? Because what you love most is actually doing this with the children.
Yeah, absolutely. So my wife is a big factor, and then we have a Chinese crested hairless dog. So if you don't know what a Chinese hairless crested
I
dog is,
do actually.
Google it. Yeah, she's adorable. Her name's Hannah. She just turned 4. And so, hey, speaking of birthday parties, happy birthday to you, Laura. I heard
Thank
today is actually your
you.
birthday, but not
Yes.
when we're watching this, because it's going to take a while. But happy birthday! And I have a magic trick for you, but we'll do
Can't
that in a
wait.
little bit. And so, um, uh, hanging out, and talking with my wife and discussing this, we put our values on each other and the family, myself, her, and the dog. And so, as much as it's nice and sounds exciting to make $1 million, for us right now at this point, we've just kind of set our boundaries on family time. And we can work as hard, and it's interesting. I was just listening to another podcast. I mean, that's another thing I recommend everybody do, is to listen to Marketing Secrets podcast, because there's just so much gold. And it's fun that Russell lets you in on like some of these masterminds that you're not a part of, but you get to be a part of. It's really exciting. And he was talking about like the imbalance and the balance of things, and there's always an imbalance of one thing when you're working really hard, and that's okay. And we enjoy that, but we don't want that to be a forever. So right now we're working really hard on some things, to do this, but that's where we've kind of set where we want to go with it right now, is just staying locally, being able to pay our bills, and saving, in retirement and things like that, but not overworking myself. Being an entertainer, if you guys are watching this and you're entertainers, it's exhausting. It is absolutely exhausting when you come home and you perform for kids. And that's what I specialize in. I only perform for kids. And I think too, it's like niches, right? We talked about this niche, and who's the challenge funnel guy? What's his name again? Pedro. Pedro. He's
Thank
like,
you. Yeah.
the riches are in the niches. It's
Yes.
exactly what it is, right? And so my niche is ages 5 to 7, but realizing that parents have been asking me to perform when the kids are 8 or 9, I've created other programs, which is teaching magic. So now, you get a silly, crazy, wild magic show where I'm drinking water and I'm shaking my booty, and the kids love it. But then when the kids are older, when they're 8 or 9, they don't want to see that. They're like, Mom, what's this? And so instead, I teach the kids how to do magic. So it's like 1 hour. It's an interactive magic workshop. So I think it's just thinking about your business, but most importantly, listening to your customers, because your customers are going to tell you what they want. And I think one big piece of advice that I would recommend is make a list of every single thing that your customer needs to get that end result. And then tick off how many of those things can you offer it. And you don't, and that it's a great way to make an offer stack, but you don't have to charge for everything, but those are the things that you're going to want to focus on. So I've got a giant, it's like 18 things that these parents can do to get it. One example was haircuts. A birthday child needs to get a haircut to get ready for the day. Well, I went out and actually got a sponsor for haircuts. So now this local hair
Wow.
salon, it now donates a free birthday haircut, like literally no strings attached for the birthday child. And we've got these really cool certificates, and I've been handing them out to every kid, that books me for their birthday party. And now they get to use that before or after their birthday party. So that's a great idea for you guys. Team up and partner with other local things. But if you want to be local, there is nothing wrong. I know it's hard, especially too when you're in these Facebook groups and you're listening to all these people doing these gigantic, enormous companies, and worldwide and traffic everywhere. It's okay to stay local, and you can have so much fun. And then at the end of the day, you can, go upstairs to your house and, your family, or, go home from work and you're home, and you're all local, and it's amazing.
You are so full of valuable little pieces of advice and golden nuggets. I'm surprised that you don't have more people
They're
asking
not
you
my ideas. They're not my
how to,
ideas.
yeah, people are going to come to you now asking how to start up partnerships like that. Like that's absolutely brilliant. So cool. Um, you have so many ideas. I love
Okay,
this.
Russell Funnel Hacking Live 2024. There you go.
There's
Now
the
I got to
plug.
get my 2 comma club. I got to get it. I got to get it.
And I love that you mentioned too, like, you have to turn people away. You're getting busy, you're staying local, you found your market, you found how local you want to be. And there's just something to be said about staying that authentic, that it's not just about, the $1 million or growing your business to the extremes. It's staying true to yourself and your art and still doing the things that you love for the audience that you intended to create it for locally. And I just want to commend you for that. I think it speaks volumes when artists and creators and performers stay true to their craft and what they love to do. And I think that in a way, the universe kind of repays you for staying true to who you are. And I think that's amazing.
Thanks. Yeah, I think there is something when you put your customers first. It really is something. You really have to genuinely love what you do, and you've
Yeah.
got to care about your customers. And you will make magic happen.
Yeah. Okay. Well, as you mentioned earlier, it is my birthday, and I would love nothing more than to see a little virtual magic trick if you don't mind.
Have you ever had a magician for your birthday party, Laura?
Never.
Well, I won't ask you how old you are, but happy birthday, and it would be my pleasure to do a little magic for you. And I actually, this is a trick that I created. It's not an original idea, but I created my premise on it once that weird thing happened a couple of years ago, and all of my magic shows disappeared. I went on Facebook. And I started doing free magic shows online, and I built up this really cool little fun following. And so for 2 years, this is all I did is virtual shows. And
Yeah.
so I set up the studio to record my OTO offers, but I also set it up to start doing virtual shows again. So I'm excited. Let's try something, because with magic, you're there and I'm over here. The first thing I've got just, skeptics watching this, you have no idea what I'm going to do, right? We never
Zero
talked about
idea.
this.
No, in fact,
Otherwise,
I'm
I
a
did
little
say, hey,
nervous.
I'd like to. Nothing to be nervous about. I'm not going to cut you in half. We'd have two of you running. Maybe that would be a good thing. Two of Laura's running around HQ. That would be good, right? All right. Inside my pocket, I have a deck of cards. These cards, Laura, they're invisible. You can't actually see them. I'm gonna toss them to you, and I want you to catch them. Okay. So if you
Okay.
could you just get your hands ready? Good, good, good. I'm gonna take those cards. I'm gonna toss them, and you got to catch them. Are you ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. You got them? Oh, perfect. Good. Now,
Got
Laura,
'em.
take those cards. You're doing great, by the way. I told you this would be painless. Give the cards a shuffle. Mix them up any way you like, Laura. Um, what are you doing?
I don't know. I'm shuffling them.
I know I don't want to embarrass you. It's your birthday, but the cards, they're still in the box, Laura.
Oh,
You got
okay.
to take them out of the box first. Give them a good shovel, mix them up. what I want you to do, I want you to take out one card, show it to everybody watching. I'm going to turn away. I'm not looking.
Okay.
I want everybody to see it. Take a good look at it. Now, Laura, take the card. Are you still here?
I'm still here.
Okay, this is where most people disconnect. Can you turn the card upside down?
Sure.
Put it back in the deck. Great. And then shuffle them up. I'm so sorry. I think you dropped one.
Okay.
It's okay. I never play with a full deck of cards anyways. Shuffle them up. All right, so you got one card upside down. Put the cards back in the box if you don't mind. Good. And then you're just going to throw them back to me. 1, 2, 3. Throw them back to me. Perfect. Watch the cards. Are you watching?
I'm
1,
watching.
2, 3. Ta-da! We might have to edit that. No, I'm just kidding. I can no. You're just the kindest interviewer. No, I can see you're not impressed. Believe it or not, Laura, this is actually the same deck of cards you had a moment ago. I'll prove it to you. You chose a card. Was it a red card or was it a black card?
It was red.
It was red. Was it a heart or was it a diamond?
It was a heart.
See, women usually pick diamonds around their birthday and Valentine's and Christmas, but it was a heart. And was it a number card or was it a picture card?
It was a number.
It was a number. What number was it?
7.
7. Any reason why you chose the 7?
My lucky number.
The 7 of hearts, right? Check this out. If this is the same deck of cards, if I spread through the cards, you should notice that there should be one card that is actually upside down. 52 cards to choose from. I'm going to take it out very carefully. Now, again, we never set anything up, right?
No.
One card out of 52. Happy birthday, Laura.
What? Oh my goodness. You just blew my mind. I don't understand at all.
That was a real reaction, so thank you. Hey, it was my pleasure entertaining you and getting to celebrate your birthday. I hope it's an amazing rest of your day, and hopefully it's filled with some balloons and cake.
Yes, thank you. And I'm so glad that now I get to go on through the rest of my day saying I actually had a magician on my birthday. That's so cool.
Everybody should have a magician on their birthday. You're never too young. You're never too old. Have a magician. Hey, and before I go, there was one thing that I wrote down that I wanted to mention in here, and that was about frameworks. And I know in Russell's books he talks about frameworks, and even as a local based business too, frameworks are something that now I'm really diving into, because if you can find the framework to teach things, right, which was what I'm doing with my parents, I give them the perfect birthday party blueprint. So I've created a framework that helps parents that they literally plug in, hey, what time, when do you do this, and when do you do this, and when do you do this, and that's something else that the ClickFunnels community has helped me with in Russell's books. So I encourage you to find frameworks in your business, and then stick to those as well.
Amazing. You have so much insightful advice for everybody, and I'm sure that everyone's going to be coming to you with questions after this. You have so much to offer. I love it. It's amazing. It's been so great to get to know you more about your business and all of the amazing things that you're doing as a local business. It's really cool to see, and I'm inspired by it. So thank you for being my guest, for sharing a little bit more about your journey and what you're doing in your business. And I really look forward to seeing you at Funnel Hacking Live. I might make you do another trick for me.
That's right. I'll be there at 2023, my first Funnel Hacking Live. I'm excited to meet you and all of you guys. If you guys don't have a ticket, buy one, and I'll show you a trick. Just come see me. If you see me, I'll show you a trick.
Awesome.
Thanks, Laura.
Thank you so much, Christopher, for being here today, and I look forward to meeting you in person. Take care.
Bye, everybody. Bye. Thanks, Laura.